Hello, everybody. You're all very welcome. So come on in and say hello. We have the wonderful David and Whitney Scott with us this evening.
Wonderful.
So,
you're wonderful.
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So David and Whitney, you guys are ultra famous, so everyone probably knows already. But let's just introduce yourselves anyway. So tell us, where are you guys based now?
We're ultra dorky.
This is true. That's why we're relatable. You can talk about us.
All right. We live in Northwest Arkansas. We've been here about 6 years. We moved from Southwest Missouri, not far away, but enough to be a very different place. Arkansas, this area is known as being the home of Walmart, Tyson Foods, some big big companies, even some tech companies. It's just it's a great spot to live, but it is still Arkansas. This is not, I would say New York, but this is not old New York.
Right.
We don't want to be New York right now.
Well, but we came from a very small town, small community, and had a successful business there, restarted here. So I think we have a variety of experience.
So that's Bill Clinton land, is it? Arkansas? No?
Yeah, a few hours south. He's from Little Rock.
Yeah, I guess.
Sort of. David is gone. Who's Bill Clinton? Who's that European government?
Thought we were going to stay away from politics here.
Bill Clinton was loved in Ireland because he was central to our peace process when we had all the Good Friday Agreement and all that stuff.
That's right. That's right. I even hear anyway, I've been keeping up with Irish politics, and some interesting things are happening with Northern Ireland, but yes. I know your thoughts on that too. So.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So David, have you had any Irish butter since you were last in Dublin?
I could say yes, but then you and your son and others would say, no, if it's not made here, it's not real. Even though the label says real, it's not. It's all in that Irish water.
The Kerrygold butter is good. The Kerrygold butter is fine because they're shipping it from here. It's the Guinness that doesn't travel too well, but you'd be grand with the Kerrygold butter. Once you don't mind spending the big money for it.
You got us hooked on the Kerrygold. That's all that's in our fridge anymore. Love it.
I have this vision of David when we were out in Dublin and we were in Rowley's and we were having dinner, and David was across from me, and he takes a bite to eat and he just goes. And I have that lasting memory of he just absolutely enjoying the food that we had.
of all the food that was there, my first reaction and my best reaction was butter.
Butter, yes. Butter on the brown bread. It was Guinness brown bread, I think, with the Kerrygold butter. Yes, indeed.
I saw that face every day while we were in Ireland. Wonderful.
Even when I was eating butter. So, yeah.
So
anyway, business. Yes.
Well, anyway, yes, back to business. We'd love to chat all day about that. We need a pint of Guinness in our hands and we're doing that. So we've done a lot in the think tank. We talk about marketing and stuff, and you guys want to deep dive into the sales room, right? Mm-hmm. And just before we come on, we were talking about mindset, and how important mindset is. And Whitney, you have a serious qualification in psychology, right?
Yes, I have a master's degree, and I think that helps in a lot of areas of our business.
So what have you noticed with a lot of photographers, the mindset they struggle with in the sales room?
Well, let me just talk about kind of what.
Go ahead. I'm going to drink coffee.
Right,
You're going to be a while on this one.
Let me just talk about kind of the quarantine in general, because the mentality of photographers is all over the board. I mentor a lot of photographers, and so it's been really interesting to see who's remaining successful and just kind of running business as normal, and who is fearful and kind of hunkered down, and how that mentality plays into the reaction of their clients. Mm-hmm. I know for us, many of our clients are ready to do business as normal. I told you before we came on, our county is a red zone. I mean, we have the highest numbers here, but I think people at this point are so over it. and they want to get back to normal. And we're trying to figure out how can we do that safely. But my attitude toward it impacts my clients.
Mm-hmm.
If I contact them and I say, oh, this is so scary, isn't it? And I've been watching the news and I'm seeing this and that. And how are you guys feeling? Well, of course, they're going to feed off of that. If I call them and say, I'm so excited to get back to work, and our studio is clean and sanitized and ready, and how are you guys ready to, let's do this, then they follow that. So that for me is the key to mindset right now with clients.
So we have to then, if we're not positive, then our clients are going to feel that negative energy and the sale ain't going to happen, right?
Absolutely. I mean, be safe by all means. Take every precaution that you need to, but don't crawl under a rock. We can't do that. This has gone on much longer than we anticipated. It may go on much longer than we anticipate even now. So we've got to figure out how to work with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, David, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that I think I think everyone in general is looking for a sense of normalcy,
Mm-hmm.
or more importantly, stability. It seems like everything has been turned upside down, very chaotic. And if you can present yourself and your business in a very peaceful and stable way, I think clients, or even potential clients, are desiring that, or will gravitate towards you, because you provide something that is the anti to most everything else that is in their life. And so if you can do that confidently, I think that will rub off on your clients, and there will be a sense of relaxing and relief, both emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. You'll see that come out in the end product, that they feel comfortable, and you have a chance to provide that.
Well, and to kind of jump on the end of that, here's what's great about this time right now. People are longing for connection. The clients that we have had in our sessions, in our sales room, we've spent a lot more time on sales because everybody just wants to talk. They want to connect. They're just longing for it. So we're making these great deep relationships with our clients that we love to do, because then they become lifelong clients for us. They come back again and again. But also, people have been stuck at home. They're looking at their walls. They're focused on their homes. They're focused on their families. And that's what we do. We take your family. We give you these wonderful memories that you can hold. We beautify your walls. I mean, it's a perfect marriage of what we do and what people need right now.
Are you selling to Ronan to get him as a client?
I've tried.
So you've touched on relationships there, right? And relationships are really key. And all along in the think tank, on some of the panels that you guys are on as well, we were predicting that what lockdown or quarantine was going to do, depending which part of the world you're in, that there's going to be a lot of people who get refocused on what's important. And you guys have always been there. You didn't need this silent enemy to have a real focus on your family and your time and the importance of that. But are you seeing with your clients now that they're wanting to capture those special relationships they have with family even more than before COVID?
Yeah, we've always seen that, but I think people are refocused on it so much more than before. They recognize the importance of it. It's kind of like, when someone that you love dies, you recognize how valuable your memories are. We've lost a lot. And so we're in that same kind of process of refocusing on what is really important to us.
Yeah, and to touch on the marketing part, you have you have to walk a very fine line between capitalizing on this moment and making it appear as though you're capitalizing on the moment.
Right.
You don't want to come across as one who to the scene of a wreck and tries to gain the most from it.
There's a word for that.
I know.
You don't want to take advantage.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you need to be very careful in your wording, in both interpersonally, but also socially on social media. How are you going to get that point across that you're here without making it sound icky?
Well, and I think one way you do this is when you're, doing your social media or you're posting, everything that you're writing about is talking about the meaning behind the images. I mean, I just did this last week. I posted an old, just had this really moving story behind it of a senior boy and his dog who died soon after. And that was just to serve as a reminder to people that this is an experience for your senior. These are memories that you're making, and it's so valuable. So you can do that in a way that doesn't feel like you're in your face.
So there's a lot of photographers that I see in forums and stuff, and there's a wee bit of panic, I would say. So some of them are saying, "Oh, do we need to cut our prices, to get clients in now," and stuff like that. What's your advice to a photographer who's thinking that way?
Do you have advice on this?
Oh, I know what your advice is.
Go ahead. Let me see if you're right.
I don't know if you've ever cut your prices.
No, we've never cut our prices. I think if you're thinking of cutting prices, that's coming from a place of panic. I think instead of cutting, we need to figure out how can we add value so that what we are selling or offering people is totally worth it.
Yeah. I think I've used that example with you before, that the sale happens when the value of what you're offering is greater than the price. Because no matter what that price is, if it's less than the perceived value, the client feels like they're getting a deal. So you have to work on what does it mean to offer the value, instead of, like Whitney said, operating from a place of panic, because that will never be effective, either short or long term.
So can we deep dive into how you approach achieving that, showing the value versus the price? How do you do that?
So there are several steps, and this kind of goes into just our entire sales process, beginning very early on with how we present ourselves to the community, whether that's in person with people, or for now it's mostly probably our social media. If we are showing people that we are a high-end studio, that we take a lot of time to customize things for our clients, that we are selling products that are high value, fine art. And so we're putting that out there from the very beginning. So somebody cannot come and see our social media and think they're going to get, all of their digital files for $100. They know that before they ever talk to us. The second part of that is just when we talk with clients on the phone, when we do a consultation, when we're educating them, we are walking through the process with them and holding their hand, and they're getting so much service from us that they know this is going to cost me.
Yeah, there's definitely a time investment involved here. You just can't get away from that. And I think people now are wanting that investment. They want people to listen to them. They want to be heard. They want to know you understand what they're going through, even though we are all in this same big coronavirus pot together. They feel like they have their own unique story, their own unique struggles, even though we're all facing the same thing, from school, work, basic life necessities. We're all in the same boat together, but they be heard for their particular story. And you have to realize this is part of the making process, is spending time and listening, engaging with them, because when they know that you care, that builds that trust that typically takes a lot longer. But crisis brings about, I think, a deeper and a quicker amount of trust. But again, you can't be, that's my word for the day, icky. You can't be icky with it. You can't use it as something to beat them over the head with. You've got to join alongside with them. I think that makes sense. I don't know. I thought it did. Up here it did.
This is my life.
So Whitney, you mentioned that, your social media is curated to sort of let the client and educate the client early as to what to expect when they interact with you.
Mm-hmm.
How, though, when you get an inquiry from somebody, do you go about qualifying that you are right for them and they are right for you?
This is a really interesting question, because we have friends who are photographers who spend a lot of time talking on the phone to people and qualifying them. And honestly, we have curated our business in such a way that we rarely get a phone call from someone who doesn't already know us, already know somebody who's been to us, and doesn't already know what to expect. And I think that's just us being established and the way we put ourselves out there. But honestly, I've been known to let people in the door even if they're not ideal, because we've learned times that you cannot judge someone by like the car they drive, that they have, because those are not the things that determine what they're going to spend on photography. It's the people who value their family and value what we do as being art that are the ones who are going to invest in us. And we have clients who pull in a big Mercedes SUV and, may just buy a few small things. And then we have the teacher or the nurse who comes in their Toyota and spends, $7,000 or $8,000. You just don't know. So what I think you have to examine is the value. And the first thing that I do with people before we even book their test, talking with them about wall art. That's our focus. The first thing we sell is wall art, and then we will sell the rest in a folio box or an album. And so if they push back on wall art, then maybe they're not our ideal client. But just talking with them about the style of their home and what clothing to wear to match that, and just to kind of see if we're on the same page there. And if you look at our social media feeds, you'll see that we post a lot of pictures of the wall art that we've done in people's homes, or I'll have like a video of David hanging wall art for people. So that's what we're pushing all the time. And that's what people expect when they come to us.
And isn't that critical? Because, you do that, and I see other great photographers doing that too, that, what you feed on your social media is actually images in situ in the client's home, being hung by David, the client interacting in their home with that imagery. While a lot of photographers just post an image, right? Not the context of where that image ends up and how that's important. That seems to be a critical positioning strategy that not many photographers are doing on social media, right?
There are three criteria that we have whenever we post on social media. I'm going to tell them what those three things are.
I'm trying to remember.
One, that we're fun.
Oh, yeah.
We want to convey that in everything we do. We want to reinforce quality, obviously. And then the third, we want to reinforce we're expensive, but we're worth it.
Well, and this is what we encourage other photographers to do, is think about, okay, if you could describe your business in 3 words, 3 things that you want to communicate to people through your social media, and every image that you get ready to post, every story that you write, does it meet those criteria? Then you're very quickly going to get rid of the people who are not going to want to purchase at that level. But yeah, the things that were fun, that it's going to be an experience. We show a lot of behind the scenes images of what we're doing with clients during sessions. And us before our webinar today, I took a picture of David's entire outfit because you can't see the shorts he's got on with us.
Can't see my shorts either, so that's okay. There's some days I mightn't be wearing shorts. We won't go there though. I'm only joking.
But yeah, the quality. So we're showing products, we're showing the experience, we're showing, like you said, the wall images, so that people know exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
So your core values then are, that's a checklist you go against for what you're going to post and the stories that you write for your social media. So let's get back into the sales process then. So what you're saying to me is that your guys, how you do it, the sales nearly half complete before you even pick up the camera, if not, close to that. So when I go to David and Whitney Scott for a family photo session, do they know what they're going to buy pretty much before you lift the camera, or does that come afterwards in the sales process?
Well, part of that in the whole marketing strategy is planting little seeds along the way. So they pretty much have an idea. Oh, I saw what a mutual friend got, and I love that. That's a little seed. They may not get it, but they love what that image is conveying emotionally, and that they're attracted to it. It's kind of like me with an iPhone versus a Samsung. I really don't care what Samsung's posting, but if I see a new thing with an iPhone, man, I'm attracted to that. And I haven't upgraded in 2 years, but it doesn't mean I don't want that. So those little seeds along the way are critical. Talking with them on the phone, asking them about their home. Whitney is, we've kind of shied away, and especially this past year with COVID, we've shied away from being in people's homes, but there have been instances this year where we have directly been in the home, had a chance to walk through it. We were in Kansas City about 3 hours away last weekend, and we were in the client's home doing the proofing session, and it was invaluable because Whitney was able to say, have you considered this wall? Well, no, that's where I've had my whatever it is, but let's take a look at it. Let's use some imagery and let's think about. And so we sold 4 pieces for that wall, simply because we were actually in the home and say, have you considered? Here's what it would look like. Let's go ahead.
Well, so I will say, I mean, if you're going for the gold, the highest standard would be doing a pre-consultation or the sale in their home. Most of our super high sales have been when we have been able to see the client's space and work with them in that way, because it feels so much more customized. It's like you're the interior designer, and you can give great advice that way. You can educate them well, which is part of our job. But if you can't go for gold and you're just going for silver, then you at least need to have images of the client's home that you can use in your proofing software, because we photographers are visual creatives, and we can look at a wall and think about what would look good, and we would know what we would want to do for our homes, but our clients are not that way. But when you can show them what it looks like, they can say, yes, I like it. Every time we do a proofing session, I will mock up at least 4 or 5 different wall groupings on their wall. If they haven't sent me wall art, or I don't have it that I've taken, I will use a generic wall just so I can see what they love and what they're drawn to. And almost always they will buy 1 or more of those groupings, because once they see it, if they love it, they can't let it go. So
have you got a tactic? Because a lot of photographers who might use, I don't know what you use, but if you use Pro Select or something else. Okay. So have you got a way to encourage your client to send you those images of their walls?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I actually took a little video of David at the studio just with my phone, showing them what to do, because I would have it all written out and nobody would read it. Yeah. So that's something that I will text to them a few days before the proofing and purchasing session, just to get them to do it. Because then it's super easy. They can do it with their phone. They just tape a piece of paper on the wall. And then they can see, please do it horizontal. Please get the floor and the ceiling and all the things that they normally don't do right.
Yeah. Or a mutual friend of ours, Dory, had a great idea when she said, I talk to the dads, if it's a family, and I tell them, you got one job, and your job is put on your engineer hat and do this one thing, and then just text it to me. Oh, well, I can do that. Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Typically that problem's done because the wife has heard that he's agreed to it, and now you've got 2 people who are going to hold him accountable. He'll get it done. So I thought it was a great method.
And he's making a micro commitment, isn't he, to the process?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if typically the decision has to go through the spouse, you want that at least a little bit of investment in it, because that will help solidify the sale.
Yeah, very good. So tell me, when do you introduce the price conversation in the sales process?
Here's what's really interesting. So when I will have a consultation phone call with them, typically before the session ever happens, and give them starting points and ranges. They don't actually see the price list until they are in the proofing and purchasing session. And that's very intentional, because our experience has been that pricing is a very left brain kind of logical concept. If I introduce that beforehand, what we've seen happen is clients are kind of choosing ahead of time what they're going to buy purely based on cost. I want them to see the value in these images, and they don't know the value until they see them. So I still want them to know what to budget, and we tell them what most people purchase. But what happens is they come in with that idea of, okay, she told me I could budget maybe $2,000. They think they can get away cheaper than that, but they have that as kind of an anchor in their brain. When they get into the sales room and they recognize the value, they're not starting at a low number, they're starting at a medium number. So it's easier to kind of push them up to a higher level.
Mm-hmm. And by push, we are not hard sales.
Oh, no.
At all. In fact, we both repel against it. It's just, it's not in our nature. If there's any type of conflict or I'm going to back away from it. And that's very bad if you're trying to make a living off selling things to people. So instead of pushing or hard selling, we walk with the client and say, what is it you like? What is it? Do you like this? Do you like? And if you pay attention to their body language as well as what they're saying, you can typically just kind of walk with them and kind of be a guide to finding what they want.
So a lot of photographers Sorry, I didn't realize you'd frozen there, so I was talking.
Okay.
I apologize.
Yeah, we want to guide the client instead of telling what they need to buy. Let's walk down this path together and find out what you like. And then our motto is don't take away someone else's joy. If they're finding joy in what the price, even though it hurts a little bit financially, if they're finding joy in that, it's not my job to take that away. My job is to help them be successful in that journey, which sounds
in the
really
purchasing journey.
altruistic, but it's a different mindset when you're trying to sell.
And these are really important points, because I know a lot of photographers I talk to, they give a price list after the shooting session to the client. So your suggestion is you can give a suggestion of price at that stage and walk them through the products and what's available, but don't give a full price list.
We don't. Now that's not to, we're not hiding anything. If somebody says to me, I really need to know all the pricing so I can kind of figure out what to do, I will come back and say, I don't have anything to send you, but I can talk with you about, and I'll give you pricing for anything specific that you want to know. So we're not hiding it, but it's based on the value, and they don't know until they see their babies up on that screen, and that's worth so much more.
But because we've done a pretty decent job of building our brand to where people recognize, okay, this is going to cost a little bit. We've a family session who will say as we're shooting, oh, that looks great. That one's going to cost me.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, part of me, especially, I think a lot of photographers are this way. They kind of cower a little bit and go, oh, that's bad. Instead of, yeah, it probably will cost you. Get ready for it. Play along with it a little bit. Acknowledge that, yeah, it's going to cost, but don't make it a negative thing. Make it a positive thing.
Very good. So tell me, the dreaded word, how do you deal with the, can I have the digitals? Can I buy the digitals?
You know, I think when we were starting out, that came up a lot more frequently than it does now. And the reason people ask that is because they're trying to get out of it as cheaply as possible, or they have been to photographers or the shoot and burn model where they get all the digitals with the price. So I think people anticipate spending more and that we are not going to be that kind of photographer. However, if the digitals are important to people, I address them up front. We used to do the sliding scale, which we developed a long time ago. And I know a lot of people use it now, and it works very well. And that's, if you don't know, it's just the more you spend
on product,
then the price of your digital files goes down to the point where at a certain level it's free. And that, I think, is the best method when you're starting out to get people up to a certain point. What we found was, once we started getting our averages up to about $3,500, we were capping our averages. So at that point, we switched to the model of you get the matching file for anything that you purchase. So if clients are at all interested in their digital files, I tell them up front, you get the matching file for anything you purchase, whether it's a wall portrait or an album. And then when they get in the sales room, what happens is we tell them the big bonus, which is if you buy artwork for the wall and something that you can hold in your hands, if you buy from both categories, you're going to get all your digital files for free. And there's a lot of power in the word free, and people want to get to that. So most people do buy from both categories. And then, of course, we have incentives at different levels. For the more you buy of wall art, the more of a discount you get. So we're always looking at how can we work our pricing so that we can bump people up to the next level. A little bit more of a deal.
But it's all, go ahead, Ronan.
I was going to ask, just a deep dive into the digitals a bit more. Why have you ever figured out what the consumers, why they request to get the digitals? You did mention that, well, they see maybe it's a price thing, but are there other reasons? Is it that they just want it for social media, or they just want to make sure that they have access to those images forever? Or is it that they do want to take them and print them at Walmart's much cheaper?
It's a variety. It's different for everybody. I mean, overall, I think it's kind of an expectation that's been put out there now. But I think it also makes people feel safe, like they're going to have them to keep, even though, the way things are changing. If they have them on a disc, that's really not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
So can we go back into the sales room? So I'm your client and I come for the sales session. Do you start with a slideshow to music, or?
See, Ronan, you just, on your next trip to the States, we just need to put you through this so you know what it's like.
I told you she was angling.
Yes, they come in, and we really kind of tout this as this is the fun part where it's, it's like a party. David makes his famous cookies, and we have like a menu of fancy drinks that you can get. You sit down and you watch the slideshow, and it's really fun when the family comes together. And we always leave in a few of the outtakes, silly faces, or, like David popping up behind somebody. So there are moments of laughter. And so they're really connecting with their images. And then we go through and narrow them down. And we've changed the way we do this, and it's working really well. We tell them, we'll go through these a couple times if we need to. The first time, what we want you to do is we're going to get rid of everything that you never want to see again. We're going to keep things you might want to work with. And when they narrow down that first time, I've started physically getting them up and walking them over to the table to look at the beautiful 3XM folio boxes and the beautiful albums that we have from KISS, and then to walk them around to the wall art to look at, canvases, Guild canvases. I got to promote everybody here. Products we have from H&H, and the metals. And so I can kind of see their reactions, and we can talk about what's going to work best for them. And then they know how they need to whittle their images down. So it's one decision at a time. They're never getting overwhelmed. And also, we're not in a position of pushing them that you're like, well, you love the folio album. That comes with, don't you? That comes with either 20 or 30 images. So you've narrowed down to 40. So by the time you put a few on the wall and you get a folio box with 30 images, you're only going to have to eliminate 3 of those. Oh, and if you get both of those, we're going to give you all your digital files, so you're really not losing anything. And so it feels easy to them. So then we sit back down and look at the wall art and begin kind of plugging those pictures in where they need to go.
You see,
Go ahead, Ronan.
I think that's ingenious because, and you guys always blow my mind with all these ingenious ideas, because a lot of photographers, I would say 99% of photographers I meet don't do that. They go through the whole process of eliminating, and then they talk product. But I think that's absolutely so clever. Just get rid of the images that you just don't like, and now let's have a look at product and where those images might sit. And then you're making the job easier for them, because it has to be relief, because like trying to narrow down all these wonderful images to the ones I like most, for me as a consumer is a nightmare. Yeah. But you're saying, well, you don't have to go there now, because let's just see how you're going to use those images, and then let's go back and you only have to eliminate a few. That is ingenious, guys. I love it.
Well, let me blow your mind again and tell you, we don't show them pricing until they ask for it. So there are times when we will get through the entire sales session and they will never ask for the price, and we will hand them their invoice.
And they'll go,
whoa. And sometimes they'll go, whoa, I need to cut something out, which is fine. Or they'll go, whoa, okay, you take credit cards, right? So again, not hiding it, but I'm not going to stick it in their face and move them out of their right brain emotional place into this left brain where they're going to pull out their calculator until they're ready to do that.
I think a very important part of that process, though, in an effort to make it easy for the client, it requires a lot of true work on the back end or behind the scenes by us as the professionals. That's just part of what it means to be a photographer and run a business. You have to do that. Just like the folio boxes from 3XN, we see the finished product, but my goodness, all the back end work that your entire staff is doing to make that product happen is huge. We have to make it easy for our clients, but it requires us to put in a lot of work. And part of that is knowing your numbers. You have to understand what it takes to run your business. You have to understand what, not just the product cost in physical sense, but what it costs to the client as far as their perception of it goes. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you understand everything about your business and it becomes ingrained, not just here, but here, when you have a client that looks at the form and goes, oh, wow, that's a lot more than I thought, then you have an opportunity to read them and to adjust things on the fly without going, well, let me look at that sheet and let me see what I can do. When you understand what your numbers are and when you are priced for profit, you have an amazing amount of flexibility and freedom to begin to add value to it, because you know this isn't going to, financially cost me much, but because it's going to offer so much more value, this is going to help solidify the sale. Or perhaps if we need to cut some things, because you understand what your numbers are without looking at a sheet of paper, you can begin to, with your business hat on, begin to cut things or begin to whittle things down that won't hurt you as much. We'll begin to address some of the issues that your client has.
Or to even add, so to be specific about what David's talking about, our cost of goods, we try to keep at like 10 to 15%. So super low. We've got plenty of margin to play with if we need to. So for example, we had some clients a few months ago who never asked for the pricing, and they purchased 8 pieces of wall art, large order. And I mean, like big pieces framed. And so when they got their bill, it was $14,000. And so of course they took a deep breath, and I said, you know what? Because knowing before they could cut anything, you know what, I know you love all of this, and one of the folio boxes that I know you also liked, so that you have smaller versions of some of those additional pictures that you like to put in your bookcase, because that was another area we had talked about, but then they didn't want to keep going with that. So by asking them to keep their order the same and then adding value, because what I was giving them was a $2,800 value. So then that kind of made them feel like, okay, I'm getting something, I'm getting a little bit of a deal. And then they went through with the order. And I think that's something that photographers need to learn is, this is your business. And when you're sitting in the sales room, you have the freedom to do whatever it takes to make your clients happy and to make the sale.
If you're priced appropriately.
If you're priced appropriately, yeah. Right.
And that the approach should be add value, don't discount. Because as you said, your client knew that folio box of 30 images is being sold for $2,800. So, but it's not costing you that.
Right.
Yeah. If our friends in Dublin were charging that, it may be a different story.
Yeah. So if you gave even a 10% discount off that order of wall art, it's $1,400, which is $1,400 cost to you. Mm-hmm. But the folio box was costing you, including prints, say $400.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or less. Yeah.
So, and they had a greater perceived value of what they were getting than the $1,400 off. They're getting value of $2,800.
Exactly. They have a price point that they could visually see and associate with it. So so that's important for that part of the sale. And a little side note with this is that gift giving. A lot of photographers ask, what do you give for gifts? And occasionally we will give photographic related gifts, but we will never give them something that they can see on our pricing menu, because we don't want them to associate a value with the gift. We want it to truly come across to them as a gift.
You're talking about a gift separate from the session, like a thank you gift or something.
Yeah, 6 months down the line. So it's not associated with any holiday or any special occasion. We want the perception of that to truly be a gift. We don't want any monetary association with it or any special occasion. We want it to be, I was thinking of you, mm-hmm. and appreciate you as a client. And so we don't give things that are on our pricing menu that they can see. So that's a separate thing, but I think it's important to share. Anyway, back to your questions.
So talk to me about, you mentioned that a lot of your clients, you've got a brand built now and they come back over and over again. Have you a process to encourage them to come back?
Nothing that's official, but we will.
They can't see it on a website or anything like that for returning clients.
Right. No. But, we.
Like graduating seniors.
Well, yeah, but we are small enough that we know our clients well, because when you're priced higher, you can have fewer clients and you can spend a lot more time paying attention. And so if we haven't seen someone in a while and we know that maybe they have a senior coming up or they haven't done family portraits in a while, we'll send them a $500 gift certificate with a certain time attached to it, because we know, especially if it's somebody who's already our client, we kind of know what their spending habits are. And we know that mm-hmm. $500 would only buy them a couple of prints. So they're going to purchase a lot more than that.
But families after a senior.
Oh, and yeah, if we shoot a senior and we always will do that with a family session, because that's one of those. I mean, now we got a daughter that's in her senior year this year coming up. So trust me, I know what these senior moms want. And they want to give their seniors every possible experience. They want all the memories that they can get. And so not only the senior portraits and playing up the experience of that, but to have the opportunity to do your final family portrait while your family is still intact, before you have to, like add a son-in-law to that, or, somebody who's outside of the family. It's a great emotional selling point.
Very good. And tell me this, do you have any referral marketing system in place, that to get your clients to refer their friends, or have you tried that before, or does it work?
So we have tried that before, And what we've learned is super well. I think, you know, a lot of senior photographers do this, and that's kind of a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to a higher level of clients, they're not so motivated by that kind of thing, but they will share among themselves in their friend group. So we have had instances where we've gotten in a really great little friend group and they all come to us, and it's kind of it's a thing. So the question is not how to incentivize them, but just how to get them to talk about you a lot. It's not about the money. It's more about, can I post their photos and tag them? Or can I don't know. What, have we done something specific that's worked well for that?
No, it's really more the experience that we want our clients to talk about amongst their peer group. Because if we can get, as you know, women friends, that sounds terrible. As women are talking, if we want one of them to say, yeah, we had our session with them and my husband Joe actually enjoyed it. That's huge, because it's telling all the others right there, all right, I don't have to pull my husband's teeth to get him to come to this portrait session, because if Joe liked it and he survived, then it's going to be a breeze for us. That's that kind of thing that we really strive for, is we want our clients to talk, and we want them to tell their other friends, yeah, it was kind of expensive too, but it was worth it.
Right.
We really work hard to emphasize that value.
Well, and honestly, if you want to get the attention of families and parents, do something for the kids. That's something that endears you to parents and something that they will want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I want to deep dive into 3 important points you made, I think. And one of those is, you mentioned that you have categories of product.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just talk about that and the strategy behind that and how that works?
Categories of product?
Yeah, you mentioned in your price list, I think you have a category. So is it a wall art category and then an album category and then gift print category, or how does that work? Or...
So if I could go back and look at the mistakes that we have made in our business,
been a lot,
which there have been a lot. That's it. That's why it's going well now, is because we've made all the mistakes and we've learned from them. So, but the biggest mistake that I think we made early on was just offering too much stuff, too many options. It just wore people down. They got decision fatigue, which is a real thing. And so now our pricing is on 2 5x7 cards. They're very simple. One is wall art, and that is 14-inch and up. And the other is, so that basically that's for the wall. And then the other is products you can hold in your hand. So it's folios and albums. And there are 3 levels of folios and albums, and they're priced the same. So the top one you can get, I think, is $3,800. And they both include 30 images, whether it's a folio or an album, and they're both larger sizes. And then you go down from there. So it's very simple. And because we want people looking at the product and not the price, we don't want them to have to look and figure out. So we have everything right in front of them. So they can say, what's this? And we can say, it's right here. This is how many images go into it. Because when they get confused, they shut down and they go back to what they know, which is, can I just have digital files or 8x10s? And that's what we don't want.
Yeah. And we price our wall art the same as well, be it a canvas, a metal, wood. It's all priced exactly the same. Regardless of medium, the size is going to be the same for all of them, even though the canvas, our guild costs much more than the, I said that with images, it's much more, but it does, but it's worth it. That's the thing. It costs a lot more than the,
like a metal,
a wood or a metal,
yeah.
But we've already factored that into our pricing. So it's going to cost us more, but we're not worried about that anymore, because we want to make the sell more than try to get just a little bit more revenue from a different medium source. We want to make that decision easy for the clients.
And I see that mistake all the time with photographers, where they think because they're a different price and they're working on a price multiplier that they have to have a different price for a canvas versus an acrylic versus the thing. And the consumer doesn't know that they cost differently.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, you're just causing decision fatigue. It's another thing I have to weigh up in my mind, and confusion loses, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, that's a great phrase.
Yeah. And I know that the restaurant industry, the margins are a different animal compared to what we do. But if we were at a very nice restaurant and saw a 2-inch thick ribeye versus the lobster tail, and they were priced the same, even though they may not cost the same for the restaurant, if they were priced the same, my decision-making process would be like that. I would get what I wanted.
You'd get the steak.
Yeah.
And the butter.
But
The Irish spuds.
but that's the same methodology we use. Take that left brain decision out of it, even though it may cost us more to go if the client goes one direction. Take that decision-making process out. The client feels value. They feel affirmed that they're getting what they want, and we get to honor that. We're not saying, well, it costs a little bit more, I'm sorry. No.
Well, and if you're doing your pricing on a certain percentage, you base your cost on your highest priced item or your highest cost item. So you're always going to make plenty of profit regardless.
Great advice. I love that. And it's about making it simple for the client, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to the other area then I thought we might deep dive back into. So, you know, the reaction that the client has who's surprised at the amount. So you've seen that reaction. What do you do? Do you let them just have that reaction, absorb it, and are they the next one to talk? Or do you read to see and try and figure out why you think they're having that reaction? Or what do you actually do in the moment?
Yeah, I think your first response was right. You just kind of shut up and then wait to see what happens. And if they say they want to cut, I mean, our goal with our clients truly is to do what's going to be best for them. We're not out to make as much money as we possibly can. We want to be sure when they go home, they are going to be so excited to put that art on their walls, and they're going to love it every day. We personally would probably never spend, $5,000 plus on portraits. But the reason that I am able to sit and sell that to somebody else is because I know, they may regret a car purchase or a couch purchase, but this is not a purchase that they're ever going to regret. They're going to love that more in 10 years than they do today. And I've even told clients that before, whenever they're having a hard time. It's just, I have no problem selling this to you because I know it's going to be more meaningful to you every year.
And we'll tell them, okay, if it's the right client, we'll tell them, we know this wall art or this folio box, this will be something your kids are going to fight over when you pass. They're not going to want anything else in your house, but they'll want this.
So let's say the reaction is that, and they don't have the credit card limit. Do you offer a payment plan if they need it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I will tell you something else. A lot of photographers will say, okay, I'm going to do a payment plan and you can get your product when it's all paid off. Well, some of our payment plans are a year, and we just don't operate that way. And we've had, maybe 2 bad experiences with that over the course of 15 years. Yeah. But to me, it's, if I were going to buy something from somebody who I had a friend type relationship with, and they said, you can't have this until it's all paid off, then I've just broken that trust, or they've broken that trust with me. And that feels terrible. So we always tell people, you can pay off up to a year, but we're going to go ahead and get you your product right away. And it just feels like a better way to do business. And I know that doesn't work for everybody, and that's fine, but I just think it creates better long-term relationships with our clients, which is our focus.
Yeah, this will blow your mind, Ronan, and probably everyone else that's watching this. But when we first started doing this, because we were penny pinching so much, and that could have been one of the mistakes we made early on, we weren't accepting credit cards. You typically paid by check. And if we needed to put someone on a payment plan, our response was, you bet, we'll get this to you in a few weeks when it comes in. Just put a check in the mail to us.
Every month.
And that's what we did for years.
Mm-hmm.
And we were never burned on that.
Mm-hmm.
We would get a check in the mail. Oh yeah, I forgot they were on a payment plan. We just got this in. We didn't really have an accounting system to keep track of that. We had I know, we had a file folder system, very old school, but we trusted our clients would do this. And if we build our business and take it seriously enough where we elevate it to a point that we admire what we've created, our customers, our clients will typically rise to that level as well. They want to be considered responsible and thought of as this kind of client, even though they may be driving a Toyota, Yaris or whatever.
All the Yaris people are really going to be on your bed.
I haven't seen that many. That's a good thing. But that's the way we conducted our business, and we were never burned on that. We don't do that now, but I think there's something to engendering trust with your clients. We don't take that lightly.
So talk to me then about Tribe of Five. What is Tribe of Five? Did I freeze?
Oh. Yes, you froze.
Okay, sorry. So talk to me about Tribe of Five. What is Tribe of Five?
Oh, Tribe of Five is a new business that we started about a year ago, just over a year ago, with Tavis and Amy Guild of Guild Canvas. And it is a coach-led mastermind groups of 5 people that we pair up, and you meet bi-monthly for an hour each on Zoom, obviously. People all over the country, not your competition at all. And provide some education, provide some support. It's just been a really, really neat business to start.
Why 5?
Why 5? Yes, because you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
They've proven that, that you actually earn the average of your network of closest friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's proven.
And so if you have a group of people that are business professionals, striving to make their photography business better, then when you meet with them, you're probably not going to want to come to that meeting ill-prepared and say, well, I really didn't do that much. There's a great motivation for it.
And we got a couple of my tribe people here. Irene and James are here today. All the rest are going to be on my bad side now.
So if people want to find out about Tribe of Five, I'm going to just type it in here. It's TRIBE of and the number 5.com, right?
Correct.
Yes, we do. We are getting ready. I think in the next couple of weeks, we are going to be opening that up to a new group or a new enrollment period where we will assign those into groups. So if you're interested, you go to that page to find out more about it. And I believe you can sign up there to be contacted when we start our new enrollment.
Very good. So my last question for you guys, because we're running out of time. I could talk to you all night as normal, but we try and limit it to an hour. So what's it like working together as husband and wife? Give us the good and the bad and the ugly of that.
Tell them what you say.
I tell people it's awesome 95% of the time. And the other 5%. Awful.
On certain days, it elevates to 10%.
Sometimes I say 90%. And he's like, oh, that's a bad day. No,
So,
I think.
Is there one secret, though, to the success?
I think if you're going to go into business with your spouse, number one, you just have to have a rock solid marriage. And you have to understand that your marriage is always more important than your business.
Mm-hmm.
And because, times before, if things have gotten hard, the option has not been, hey, let's break up the marriage. It's been, no, hey, we can get a different job. We can do other things. The business takes a back seat to the marriage.
Always.
Mm-hmm. And other than that, I would say you have to have pretty clearly defined roles and good separation, good boundaries, or you'll be laying in bed talking about business, and what fun is that?
Great advice as always. Great advice. Listen, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us in the think tank. I know that I know you so well. We know each other so well at this stage. You're genuinely really nice people. Probably the nicest people I know in the world, in fact. Really genuine people. So I encourage you, if you want more of Whitney and David, and the more you get of them, the more you'll want of them, go along, have a look at Tribe of Five and see what's involved there, see if it's right for you, because they can help you turn your business and your passion for photography into more profit. And they live this, you know, they have so much family time, and their family is so important to them. There's so much time with them. They've built their business around that principle that they want time to spend with their family. So they work 20 hours a week, I think, each, they tell me, and they have a profitable, successful, sustainable business that they're able to do in that time. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, guys. You know, we talked about this before we came online, and sometimes we hear prices in Europe and we say, oh, that's not possible to do here. That's mindset. It really, it's mindset. So just I encourage you to reach out, say hello to them, and they are lovely people. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you, Ronan.
We think you're lovely too. Thanks so much for having us, Ronan.
We appreciate it.
So thank you, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you all again next Tuesday in the think tank, and be good. Bye, David.
Cheers.
Bye, Whitney.
Bye.
Sláinte.
Bye. Sláinte.